It's time for the mid-year freakout tag, where I tell you the best and the worst books I've read so far this year. Stick around. Hello readers! I have done this tag since the start of my Booktube channel, so I will link to previous years in the description below just in case you want to check them out. But also this tag was created by Ellie and Chami, and I will also link to their channels in the description below. There are 13 questions, and I think at some point a few were added, but the list that I got had 13 questions, so that's what we're doing. Number 1, what is the best book you've read in 2020 so far? For this I picked One Day in December by Josie Silver. I had been hearing about it, but it came up on my library page when I logged into my Overdrive app, and I was just like, you know what, let's do it, let's listen to it. And it really took me by surprise. I think probably because I wasn't even fully sure what it was about, so I had no expectations, and I just, you know, I allowed it to exist, and I completely fell in love with it. I thought the audiobook was amazing. It went back and forth between a few characters, and I thought they did a really, really good job with it. I enjoyed this book so much that I made a review video for it, so you can check that out somewhere. Question number 2, best sequel you've read so far in 2020. I think I've only read one sequel so far in 2020, so this one kind of wins by default, but I did really enjoy it, and that is Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. It is the last book in the Nevernight Chronicles, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but there were twists, and there was ups and downs, and there was lots of drama, and I still got to connect with all the characters that I loved so much, and I really liked being in the Nevernight environment. I'm sad that it has ended. But again, I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great conclusion to the trilogy. Number 3, a new release you haven't read yet, but want to. I have been hearing lots of good things about Beach Read by Emily Henry. This was recommended to me by the Brunette Bibliophile, and I've just been seeing it pop up over and over again. I'm not entirely sure what to expect. I don't even know what the book is about, but I trust Chloe when it comes to contemporary romance and things, just contemporary in general. So when she told me it was a 5-star, I went out and got it. So I am looking forward to reading that. I feel like I've been really burned a lot of times this year by going into books thinking they were romances. So let me just get that out of my head, and I don't know what it's about. So I'm just gonna go in without thinking it's anything. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have already pre-ordered this, and it comes out on August 4th, and that is You Had Me at Ola by Alexis Daria. And I've heard that that was also a really, really good book. Lauren from the novel Lush, she read it, she gave it 5 stars, and I trust her opinion. Number 5, biggest disappointment. I think I'm gonna have to say The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I don't really think I was excited when this book was announced. I didn't think that we needed to find out more about Snow. So I didn't really care before about who he was before he was president, and the book didn't do anything to convince me why I should care about him before he was president. So it was just, overall, it was fairly disappointing. It didn't feel like it needed to exist. It was nice to be kind of back in the Hunger Games world. It was nice to see some of how the games that we know in the Hunger Games developed, but overall it was a pretty disappointing read. Number 6, biggest surprise. And for me, I would say the nonfiction book Mindfuck by Christopher Wiley, which was about the whole Cambridge Analytica thing and how Facebook was used to target certain people to spread misinformation and to essentially sway the vote in 2016. And it was definitely mind-blowing to see how our information is used and how we are targeted with certain information. It was a little bit scary, but also very eye-opening, and I would recommend it to everyone and anyone. Like, you should really know how your information is being used and how your buttons are being pushed online without you even being aware of it. Number 7, favorite new author. I think my favorite new author might be Josie Silver, and that's because I read 2 of her books in 2020 so far. I didn't love the second one, but I'm gonna blame it on the fact that I went into it thinking it was something different than it was. I think her writing is great, so even though I didn't love the second book, I would still be willing to pick up more of her stuff. And you know, the way One Day in December touched me, like, I would say she could definitely be my new favorite author. Number 8, newest fictional crush. You may already know that my husband and I met while playing video games. We met on Xbox Live while playing Halo 2, so it's no surprise that I picked Aaron Jericho from Don't Read the Comments. He was super sweet. He got to know Divya. He was just, you know, he was a great listener. He went above and beyond. He was romantic. And he was just overall a really cool dude, especially in a book where, you know, the main character is kind of facing some online bullying and lots of misogyny and sexism. Number 9, newest favorite character. And this is a little bit of a surprise because this is in my most disappointed book, but Sejanus, I would say is my newest favorite character. I feel like he stood for something. He had ethics and morals, and you know, he just strongly stood by them, and I really honor that. Number 10, last book that made me cry was Thorn by Intisar Kanani. And I don't want to say why I cried because it's spoilers, but Thorn is actually a Goose Girl retelling, and there was a part in it that, you know, if I had been more familiar with the Goose Girl story, it wouldn't have been such a surprise, and I don't know if I still would have cried, but there was a part in there that made me cry. Number 11, a book that made you happy. It actually wasn't until Obama was running for president that I started to give a shit about politics. And obviously I care about it even more now because so much has changed and things are different and democracy is being threatened. But, you know, I just never felt like it spoke to me. I never felt connected to it. I never felt like there was anything I could do about it. I just felt very alienated from politics prior to Obama running for president. And you know, the way I feel right now is just that I feel like young people need to be politically awakened. They need to get involved. They need to create a government that will speak to them and will fight for them, and will continue to fight for everyone's rights. But the book that made me really happy was Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. And I just loved that it was a political romance. It was a YA political romance, and I loved how it spoke to not just people that were old enough to vote, but also younger people as well. And I just feel like that book is really needed right now, and I love that it exists. Number 12, most beautiful book you've bought or received. For this, I picked The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. What's super cool about this book is I love the colors on it. I love the image, but also it is like an AR cover, so it works with Google Lens. And to me, that's like the first book I've ever had that does that, and it's just like super cool and fascinating, and I just absolutely love it. If you flip it over, you kind of get a little bit of information from the author, but overall, it's just it's a cool book. I love it. And lastly, number 13. What book do you need to read by the end of the year? I just bought this book, but by the end of the year, I would like to read Full Disclosure by Cameron Garrett. And if I remember the synopsis correctly, I think there was a girl who's the main character, and she might be dealing with HIV, and I think rent plays a role in it too. So just being from New York, absolutely loving Rent, I saw this and I picked it up, and I can't wait to read it. Well, that's it for this year's mid-year freakout tag. If you've already done it, let me know what book you're hoping to read before the end of the year. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.